everybody. We are back to wrap up Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, which I think we all thoroughly enjoyed. We're going to spoil everything for you, so if you've not read this book, I highly suggest going and reading it yourself. It's really good. Also, I can't even say it's a spoiler. There's a really good twist at the end of this book that I don't think any of us saw coming. And like we are very well versed in twists, and like mouth was hanging open as it was happening. So really like go read it. It's well worth it. I thought this was awesome. But in that vein, like how did you guys all feel? Like were you just like totally surprised by this book? Loved it? Like liked it? Where's everyone? Where are our feelings?
I think it's really funny because I think at the end of last episode we were talking about how the first part was so slow burn and we were convinced it was going to continue to be slow burn, and then like 2 chapters later they're like, nope, done with that.
The slow burn turned into an inferno very quickly. Like someone found a can of gasoline. It was just like, where has this been for the last 14 chapters?
I love the progression though. The slow burn. I mean, it wasn't like the last 20% when they finally hooked up or something, but I like the progression of it.
I also felt like it was very, like, it happened naturally for them. Like, I didn't feel like I got whiplash or anything. Like, it was a very, like, I felt like their transition from slow burn into so we're doing this was, like, very well done.
Bad for Fionn though. Fionn?
I think it's
Fawn?
Fionn.
Oh.
Fionn?
Wait, has anyone listened to the audiobook? Do we know how to pronounce this name?
No, I don't think we do.
I think it's Fionn. I'm pretty sure.
I would advise Brooke.
I'm just trying to picture like Irish people saying the name, and I think it would be Fionn. But I don't know. Come at us with your correct Irish pronunciations, please. Because none of us have listened to the audiobook for this so far, which we've heard is absolutely delightful. So I might need to do that before the third book comes out, when I inevitably reread both of the books again before reading that one. But yeah, so I totally obsessed with these two characters. Like I absolutely loved this book. I thought it was really, really great. And I figured we just might as well get it out of the way and just talk about like their relationship as a whole. And like, did everyone else feel like it was a really good, like just solid progression, like felt very like real? I mean, as real as two serial killers falling in love together while competing to murder people be?
Yes. Yeah, I love them. Yeah, I like that. Wait, hold on. I don't know why I'm getting so nervous.
It was so good. Also, we're now all thinking of the multiple sex scenes that we read because there were a lot of them. We thought there would be one. We thought, could they get all of those trigger warnings into one? No. They spread it out over the rest of the book.
Got a lot of them into one. There were like a surprise, like, yeah,
They were
I don't know.
back to back. Yeah, guys, I'm getting red.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. I didn't love it.
So I will say, and again, we try to keep this like, you know, if this is the first book that you're reading with us, we don't go too into depth just in case like the spice isn't anybody's cup of tea, because I know some people will read these books and just like totally skip over the smut stuff, which you do you. But this was definitely, at least I felt like this was a different level from what at least we have all read together. I was like, this is like this. I feel like I went from thinking that books like Silver Flames in the ACOTAR series were like super, super spicy. And then I read this and was like, oh, never mind. I didn't know what a jalapeno was before today.
It was a lot. I enjoyed it. Was it a bit much? Yeah, especially the
What?
Which I didn't know what it was. It was like the very first line in the trigger warning list for, what was it? Trying to find it. Oh, the detailed sex scenes.
Yes.
Yes, I had no idea what that was, and I still didn't know what it was by the end of it until rereading the trigger warning list, just be like, "Oh, that was like I just didn't know it was there was a term for it."
Yeah, the book court is a totally safe space, and we will admit that there were things that we had to look up online after reading the whole book to teach ourselves lessons about maybe books we'll read in the future.
Lesson learned.
Um,
Didn't know that was possible.
yeah, but
I mean,
Elena, I
what
will
that
say,
was.
yeah, no, I think there were a lot of things that we knew existed in the world, but didn't know there were names for. But popular culture, I guess, has labeled everything. But I will say, Elena, I think I was like I leaned a little bit toward your reaction where I was like, is this necessarily like my cup of tea? Probably not. But while I was reading it, I felt like it was very much them, which I loved. Like it felt very organic for the two of them. Like literally every scene. It was like, yeah, this is you guys. I mean, you kill people for fun on Saturdays. So like this checks out. And I'm so happy for them that they found their other person. Like in all of the scenes where there were definitely times where I was just like, oh, like I was like, this is also really cute, like very, very heartfelt, very heartwarming.
Oh,
Like, yeah, it's on par with their relationship. They're dark, they're also humorous, but I also found moments where they were cute. Like I this is a love story of serial killers, but I was like I found myself awing a lot because of how cute these moments were. Not
Yeah.
specifically the scenes, like the scenes. Sorry, my husband is right next to me.
We certainly don't want him to find out about any of this, Jamie.
He definitely doesn't know that I've read that. We have not discussed this.
I mean, you could. You could like
Good,
this.
totally good.
It's required reading now.
yeah. I feel like thinking of it as that like it fits them is a really good way of looking at it. It makes a lot of sense for their relationship. Personally, a sibling's house feels
Yeah.
could never.
There
I
was
just I don't think it would be me.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Elena. I feel like on the one hand, I liked it because of this like multi-year slow burn. I felt like it made sense in the like we are not waiting any longer. I don't care who's sleeping down the hallway. But that thought was in the back of my mind for the whole scene, which was like 2 chapters long. I was just like, poor Fian, which I know is what you said. Um,
It made it better that Rose was like, punish him.
Yeah, Rose
She's
was ready for like
hilarious.
the double high five the next morning. She was like, "You go,
Yeah.
girl."
Yeah, whatever
Again, it's
that
on.
backstory is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about them because they're on my list too. We can take a quick diversion. What do you guys think about I know this is the second time we've met Fian, but like we didn't really get a lot of Fian time in before now, and this is the first time we meet Rose. Like any thoughts? Like Elena, do you have any ideas of like how this relationship or non-relationship or just like friend acquaintanceship came to be?
And like I'm kind of sad that their book's not out yet because
Mhm.
it just there was so much underlying tension and like clear backstory that we don't have access to. I just wanted to know how'd
Yeah.
she break her leg? Why is she living in his house? Why are they fighting?
The whole circus thing too, like I thought that was very interesting. And she's like doing tarot and seems like she's like I don't know if she's just like competent and attuned with like herself or if she is like potentially some sort of psychic, no idea, but her character just seemed very interesting and unique to me. And I was like, I'm pretty sure she's got to be in the third book for Fian, but if she's not, like, I hope that she's still a character somewhere in the next 2 books because she seems really cool.
Technically, her name is in the little synopsis for the third book.
You're not supposed to spoil it like that.
We have it on good authority that she's probably the person in the third book. And I mean, like, I would say that the scenes that we saw with her do point toward it probably being her that Fian has a relationship with.
It'd be really interesting because their dynamics and they just seem very opposite. It'd be interesting to see them together.
Said, can someone explain to me who Anna is? Because she kind of popped up. It was like, oh, and then there's Anna, and then Sloane's getting close with her, and she's helping with their wedding, and I'm like, who the heck is Anna? I've never heard her before. Did I just like...
I
think
got
she's
that
like,
feeling too. Like she
yeah,
seemed like she'd
she's
be an important character, but she was like name dropped a few times, but then never really explained who she was. Like she was at whose birthday party dinner was it? Was it like Lachlan's or?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the attractive friend that when Sloane is hanging out at 3 and Coach for the first time, she like comes up and hugs Rowan. And I think she's just like the one named friend for the friend group, you know, because there's like the friend group, but we don't really ever see them or like learn their name. She's like the one named representative of the friend group.
Interesting. See, that didn't pop out to me, so I was just like, who's this random girl? Like, why are we...
Yeah,
Like,
I think
all the
I think
other named characters have future books.
yeah, she's like the only one. I think I paid extra attention to her because I was afraid that there was going to be more jealousy in that moment, like more of like a you know, kiss on the cheek that got taken the wrong way or like got X vibes or something that then Sloane would be like super uncomfortable with, but it never really went there, which I was happy for. But I think that's why I tucked her name in the back of my mind.
Same. I got that feeling about her too. Like she might be the other woman or the woman that will cause some kind of rift or conflict between the characters. So maybe not between Sloane and Rowan, but maybe between the next couple. In the
Yeah.
Interesting. I got, like, I didn't get, oh, she's gonna be a source of jealousy in the next book. I was like, is the next book like threesome? And I didn't realize it. Like, is it...
I don't think so, but maybe.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
we still don't really know a lot about Lachlan and Lark, honestly.
Other than they
I
hate each other.
supposedly, right? And then there's like I can't remember who, but Rowan or Sloane saying that they might have slept together or not. It's unclear. So
They
I don't know.
definitely did. They might have.
Or maybe that's just like Sloane and Rowan's like take on it. Like
Right.
maybe, oh, they probably slept together and maybe they had like a really heartfelt moment where there was like a misunderstanding and now they're like kind of pissed at each other. But I don't know. Like I have to assume we'll find out in book 2 what happened in that
It's
moment.
possible they just give off like those vibes. They're so into each other, but actually they hate each other.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The other way
Do we
around.
all have like that friend couple that are like slightly meaner to each other than we would like them to be, but we just assume that that's just their thing? Like, is that just me?
Like in real life?
Yeah. Because that's immediately what I thought of is like, maybe they're just really into each other and they're deflecting. Like, is that it?
It's possible, tough love.
Yeah. Um, since we're talking about them, any predictions for book 2? Like, do we think it like that scene was just a misunderstanding? Do we think it is going to be more of like an enemies to lovers type book?
Hope it's an
I think
enemies to
so.
lovers.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
wasn't really this book, right? It was more of like not
Rivals
even
to lovers, I would
rivals.
say.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was gonna say friends to lovers more than...
Rivals to friends
Because
to lovers.
it wasn't really ever like rival. Like, there wasn't any angst to the rivalry.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was like
more
a
like...
friendly rivalry. Yeah.
I don't know, but to be honest, the epilogue confused me more than anything. I was like, feels like a weird way. Like, I forget what the like last chapter was, and then it went into this like random POV, and I was like, I don't know who this is. Also, is the Phantom the same as like the forest phantom? Because isn't that
have
what they've
to
been calling the
assume.
That was
forest
my
guy?
assumption. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last chapter before the epilogue is like the adorable engagement, like proposal. Oh my God, died. I died. We'll have to go back and talk about that in more detail. But yeah, then it switches to the epilogue, which is from the POV of the Phantom, who I assume is the Forest Phantom, who was supposed to be like the end goal kill of their competition. And I have to assume that he figured out that they sort of like zeroed in on him, and now his plan seems to be that he's gonna get Lachlan and like get revenge on them, even thinking that they could take him on.
Feeling that he's going to be like the multi-arc villain. So maybe he won't be captured in the next book or killed off in the next book, maybe by the third book or something. And I didn't get and I thought, oh, could he be the brother of the cannibalism guy, or maybe if he was the brother of a serial killer that Rowan had previously killed, but we didn't see, or we saw, but that he was just like, briefly. So that was my take from reading the epilogue.
I think he's definitely the brother of one of the guys that they killed during this book. And my thought is that I think that the brother is either David or the first guy that they kill. Because the first guy, I don't know if you guys remember, but he sounded similar, where they were like, oh, we're in the middle of like West Virginia or wherever it was, and that like people had gone missing while hiking. I was like, this is oddly similar to this other guy that they're supposed to
Oh,
be killing on the other side of the
interesting.
country. So I thought that maybe that might have been on purpose now that we're hearing like, oh, you killed my brother. I thought like, okay, maybe that's why there was this weird similarity of like, we like to kill hikers while they're just out trying to enjoy nature.
Is that the one where Sloane is got captured in the cage? Is that one?
No, the first
Oh.
one they kill in the competition, that Rowan like murders the shit out of him after he's like listening in on
Oh,
Sloane in the
the
hotel.
one with the hotel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my personal theory, but
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I was telling my boyfriend's mom about the book, and she just didn't like. Was not comprehending. I was like, "No, it's a book about serial killers falling in love, but they only kill other serial killers." And she did bring up like kind of a good point in that it is very convenient that all the serial killers are really great at finding each other, but like God, like they're just like have some in where they can find each other, but the FBI can't find any of them. And I was like, she was like, it feels like a plot hole. And I was like, now that you say it, they do find each other quite easily.
I would say, to be fair, these are self-professed romantic comedies where we all know you suspend disbelief on some of the things that happen and seem like a little too convenient. But part of the plot, it's also set up that Lachlan has this in to get this knowledge through his employer and like his job. So I think that's also it too, is that he's got like the underworld intelligence that he's using to find these serial killers for their competition.
Okay, I can like suspend that disbelief for them because of Lachlan, but then the Phantom refines them. Like David susses out that they're probably coming after that other guy and like hides. Like there's just every other serial killer seems to have a serial killer radar where they're like, and that guy's a serial killer.
It's like gaydar except serial killer dar. Like they can sense each other. They're like, "Yep, you like to kill people on Saturday nights."
I mean, she brings up a good point, but if the FBI couldn't figure out the Orb Weaver's like map, I mean, I couldn't figure it out either.
Sure.
I think it's also just funny to think of like this dumb police force just being like, "Oh God, why are there pieces of skin and fishing line?"
Maybe it's a
Like,
cultural statement on the competency of law enforcement.
at least in this universe. Like I thought it was really funny when Rowan makes that comment to her at the end, like now that she's using colors and everything, and she's like, regained her art. He's like, wow, this is not going to make it any easier for them.
Okay, but how
Yeah.
cute was that?
So cute. Oh,
I think there was like I actually cried. Like I teared up reading this. I think it was the part where they finally professed like I love yous to each other. And I thought that was like the cutest thing ever. Like I teared up.
yeah. The minute that he told her she needed to take another look at the eye socket, I immediately knew what was in the eye socket, and it didn't make it any less cute. I was like, "Oh my God, are you like is your glass of champagne literally a dead guy's eye hole?"
Speaking
Yes.
of pain,
What a serial killer way to do it.
So cute. Amazingly cute.
Adorable.
Um, Now that we're back to talking about how cute they are, like, did anybody else get their heart ripped out when Rowan like fake broke up with her? Like in the scene that
kind
he
of
had to get her to
disappointed in
leave?
her. Like she
Mhm.
should have known. Like I was very happy she came around to it quickly, but like as she was doing it, I was like, "Girlie, this is not believable. Like
I was
you
just
know that."
waiting for her to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But I loved the her thought process, even though I was just like, come on, girl, figure it out. Like, what's so off about his breakup speech? But while she was like, breaking down and she was like getting ready. She was like, if I'm doing this, like, I'm gonna be badass about it.
yeah, the fuck you makeup. I loved that.
Yes, I love that.
Yep. Yeah, I had a moment where I kind of eye rolled a little bit and was like, "Oh, we're using this trope where I immediately knew like she's gonna go talk it out with someone, like, and she calls Lark and they're like talking it out and she's coming around to it, which I do appreciate that she was the one that realized it. It wasn't like Lark realized it and then had to convince her. And I think that the only reason that I am totally okay with it is that this whole book is about her like crippling like inability to have any self-confidence. So she is the one character that I would believe of this, like the immediate, okay, he doesn't love me, he wants me to go home. Because there were moments leading up to it too that, I could totally see from her point of view, like, oh, he brought me here to break up with me, like to have this, just like to say goodbye. So
After
I
naming a
get it.
restaurant after her.
I mean, like I think that we all have the benefit of seeing it from the outside in, and that's what I was trying to do is like take a step back and be like, okay, Brooke knows this is dumb as shit, but Sloane like really still doesn't really believe in herself. Like she's getting
No,
close.
yeah,
She's
of
like
course.
but she's still on the journey and Rowan does say some very convincing things and he has to get her to leave, but yeah, I'm glad that she figured it out quickly.
Did you guys remember the April, like the 10th, or like I'm sorry, the time frame? I completely forgot about that until they mentioned it again later.
I knew when he said it that that was going to be the thing because it
Yeah,
was like a specific detail
very
that she could go
specific.
back, but I did not remember that that was the date on the ice cream.
Y'all blocked it out.
That wasn't what my brain was remembering in that moment. My brain vividly will always remember the other part of what that label said, but not the date range.
Yep.
Like have confusion about in that scene. I feel like I just keep being like, and I was confused about this. But um, so did Sloan know the whole time that David was not like lobotomized? Or
Oh,
is it just that
So she
Lachlan was
knew
able to pull up all of that information in a 20-minute span?
all
that.
that information. Yeah, he was able to dig it up because she was
Because
the
like,
one that convinced Rowan to take David in
yeah,
because she, believed his sad story.
yeah. Because I don't know, it just felt like to me she jumped to he's in love with me very quickly, but I don't know, maybe because the camera was on?
Oh, like Sloane jumping to David's in
Yeah,
love with me.
yeah,
I think it's because she got the information on like who David actually was, and then she was watching what David was saying to Rowan
okay,
before she came in. So I think she just knew how to pull
yeah,
his strings and be like, okay, if I like get him distracted by thinking he can do something with me, like then he'll leave Rowan alone.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I didn't even think they knew his last name. So it's like, where is his last name even coming from right now?
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah,
to
and
see
I
how
think
Lachlan does all this, like what he does
yeah,
for work.
it's the suspension of disbelief that just like Lachlan has the inn that gets him this information very quickly.
Yeah.
But
To be honest, I did not see it coming with David at all. Like, the gun was on his head, and I was like, where's David? Maybe David can come help.
I had
the
the
thought
same process too because I was like,
that
who broke in? Who has the key? Who got in?
I thought it was the Phantom guy. Like I thought that he had figured out that
Mhm.
they were targeting him because it's been years, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a believable amount of time that like a very powerful serial killer could have figured out that someone was gunning for him. So I thought it was him at first. And then in the back of my mind I was like, "Oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't hurt David." Or like maybe this is David's moment to shine and he like remembers how to talk or like say some words and calls 911. And then when it was David, I was like, "David, for real?" Like the betrayal.
That's what I was screaming about in the group chat. So I was like,
David. Yeah. It was a bummer. But I loved the twist because I had no idea it was coming.
I really like the twist. Yeah.
Nope, totally believed he was lobotomized because to me that was the only way that you ate ice cream like that, knowing what it was. Elena, Jamie and I, because we finished before you, we agreed that we may never be able to use a mandolin again. How do you feel about certain kitchen implements at this point in time?
Dude. As soon as I started peeling teeny tiny bits of flesh off him, I started skimming, so I didn't actually acknowledge in my head that it was a mandolin until you guys told me.
You need to suffer with the rest of us. So, are you going to use it again? Like, would you ever?
No. I did get the corkscrew, but once again they were like corkscrew into arm, and I was like, nope.
I'm shuddering.
Um, I will say that I read every word. This was the only part of the book that did make me slightly queasy. As I was reading it, I was like, I hope this doesn't go on for long because I might have to start skimming. But luckily, like, I still felt like this was the furthest I think any of the gruesome parts were taken, but it still, like, was okay for me who has a legitimate phobia of such things. So if you're watching this whole thing and you have not read the book because you think that it like the trigger warnings might be too much for you, they might, because if your phobia is more severe than mine, then it's possible. But I was able to get through it. I thought it was okay, and that Bryn did a good job of like making it like just gross enough and then having it finish. Yeah.
Speaking of trigger warnings, the thing about reading them beforehand, you can't help but have it kind of hover over your head, thinking like, is this gonna happen? Is this what it is? Is this next or something? But remember the mummified, questionable use of the mummified corpse? I was not expecting that or expecting it to be hilarious.
So funny. So funny. Yeah, we went real or I'll take full responsibility. I went way too far with the mummified corpse. The way it was used was way better. So funny. Like, were you guys laughing out loud? Like, I actually laughed out loud while I was
Yes,
reading that.
I
I was
did.
like, Sloan, you are so sick and twisted and hilarious.
But he deserved it. He
Yep.
deserved it.
Oh, absolutely. And just the fact that he died of a heart attack from his dead mummified mother.
Yeah.
Like,
R.I.P. that guy that they just listened the chainsaw. Like, they were just standing there and they're like, he just killed that guy. Oops. At least they saved the girl, but like,
We don't know what happened to
R.I.P.
her. Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't she run off? I
Hmm.
feel like they saved her.
For some reason, I thought she was gonna be the the love interest for Fian
Oh.
before you
Like,
spoiled it.
like, look, we found someone with just the right amount of PTSD. She needs a doctor to fix her.
That's
Yeah,
a really good one.
I will say, as someone who, like, especially when I play D&D, I have a hard time not playing characters that, like, will do anything to save everyone. Like, I'm that person that, you know, they're like, oh no, like, we saved the other 14 people, so, like, the one person dying is totally fine. Like, I'm the stupid person that's like, must save them all. So there was a part of me that was, like, a little hurt by them just, like, letting the guy get chopped up with a chainsaw and then just being like, she'll find her way to help eventually. I was like, oh, see, I would have been charging in to try to save him before he got chainsaw chopped. And then I would have been like putting her over my shoulder and finding, but it's so them again. Like, they're serial killers, like serial killers for the right reasons, but they still enjoy killing people. Yeah.
I think that's the thing though, because they're killers, they're not saviors, if that makes sense. You
Yeah.
know? Like they're not the type to run through a burning building to save people unless there's a serial killer in there.
Yeah, they don't have like the dumb hero complex. Like it's turned
Yeah.
off a little bit in their brains. Like they're good people, but they're not like stupidly good people. Yeah. Were there any other scenes or anything that you guys absolutely loved and wanted to talk about? Like either
There was
like super
like,
cute scenes or plot stuff or yeah, go
yeah,
ahead,
I'm trying
Jamie.
to remember. There was like, didn't they dance or something, or was that before our break?
That was before.
Okay. Yeah, like a lot of cute moments happen, but I just can't recall because I have that type of brain.
I will say that the new restaurant, well, like just
Oh.
so corny. I loved it. Like I just thought it was
Yeah.
so sweet. So cute.
Did we talk about the tattoo? Or was that part,
No.
was that before the break too? So like
No, that's like right at the end.
at the end of the book or end of the break?
End of the
At the
book.
end of the book.
Oh, you're talking about the first tattoo where she finds out that he tattooed the
Yeah,
picture that
The
she drew
bird.
of the bird. That is during the 2-chapter long we don't care who's sleeping down the hall scene.
That was cute.
Yeah, no, that was really cute. I was like, oh my god, Rowan, you absolute cinnamon roll. Like, you took the sketch that she made and you were like, make this permanent on my skin.
He's so cheesy. I
Me.
love it.
When she was like, "Oh my god, he doesn't love me," as she's staring at her drawing that he has hanging up exactly where he can see it. I'm like, "Girly, you know better."
Yeah,
But she
not
doesn't.
all.
She doesn't.
I know she doesn't.
Her just like her lack of self-confidence just takes over. Like her brain just short circuits and she gets there. But yeah, I also had that thought where I was like he not only did he frame it and put it in the restaurant, in addition to like all the other cute things he does, which is like make the exact perfect table that you would pick for her, like always be open for her and it's like he tattooed the thing on his back. He literally tattooed a sketch that you made in a restaurant on a napkin into his back. Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Yeah. Slightly obsessive love. Oh, we'll take it. We'll take it.
It's the kind of
Like-
love I love in fictional men.
Yeah.
Fair.
Jamie, I thought when you were talking about the tattoo, I thought you meant the one that they that Sloane designs and that Rowan gets. It's the
Oh, that's
surprise that covers up
right.
his scars.
Yes, that is cute. That's another cute scene.
Yeah. I thought that was really sweet.
Oh, another fun fact that we learned about Lachlan is that he wears glasses, and I think that's so hot. It makes me more excited to read his book. But we just need more we just need more characters and glasses. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Is that
everybody
too very
loves.
what?
Elena said it's, and I quote, because he's old, Jamie. Do you have anything to say to that?
Hey, I like that too. I like silver foxes. I don't know if he has silver hair, but
I was thinking Rowan, who called him old.
well, he is the older brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anyone else think that it was slightly hilarious that the serial killer is like, ah yes, I'm going to get back at Rowan by taking his older brother and killing him. And I'm like, honestly, man, out of any of the three brothers, that's the least kidnappable. Like, are you sure that one? Like, there's a little scrawny doctor that lives in the next state over. Like, you could go for that one. He's like, no, I want the big burly one that just sharpens knives on his tanning belt whenever he's feeling anxious. Okay.
It's a
Great choice.
it's a bad pick on his point.
Yeah, and like I hope that it is taken seriously. Like, and I don't know if he'll actually end up kidnapping Lachlan or like attempting his life, and that's how they figure out that this is all happening. But yeah, I have to assume that there are going to be like edge of your seat scenes like there were in this book. But I had that thought where I was like, really? Have you seen him? Like, sure.
Say that.
I just said, yeah, go for that one.
Yeah.
I want the enemies to lovers.
I mean, I think
feel
we
like
get it
that's-
now.
Yeah,
I know.
I think we're gonna get that. Which made me think about
Oh yeah.
because their occupations seem very different than serial killers. Right.
You mean Sloane and Rowan, or like everyone in general?
Lachlan and Lark.
Yeah, so originally when I knew nothing about this book or the series as a whole, I thought everybody was going to be serial killers, but I don't think that's the case. Like we know what Lachlan does, we know what Lark does, we know sort of their personalities and their interests and everything. So I have to assume that there's still going to be serial killer-ness, but it's that they're being pulled into this plot that has been started by Sloane and Rowan.
The book says friends to lovers.
Friends to lovers.
That's when you read the back.
I haven't read the back. I don't really read the backs of books.
I don't either.
I don't need
I
that
like
summary.
I like to be completely surprised and not
Yeah.
be influenced.
Yeah. Generally speaking, if you suggest a book to me, even if I don't already trust you, I'll give you at least one try. And I'll just take your suggestion at face value. I
I'll
don't need
read
to know.
like a list of tropes.
Mm.
Like scan it quickly. And then like if there's something catches my eye, I'm like, okay, enemies to lovers, yes, sold. I'll read it.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually my take.
Yeah. Sometimes tropes like trigger warnings can be spoilery though. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't have anything else that I needed to discuss. Unless you guys can think of anything else that you wanted to pick apart.
I gave this 5 stars.
So good. I haven't even thought about it. Giving things stars makes me anxious.
Why?
Because then I have to rank them and then I feel bad because it's like so subjective. And then sometimes I ask myself, like, I try to rank, like, I try to give stars and rank books based off of like books, like books that are similar. Like, every now and then you read like a nonfiction book because, I don't know, you black out and all of a sudden you're halfway through and you don't know how you got there. You can't rank books like that against books like this. Like, it's just they're very different cups of tea.
Usually ranking by vibes.
Mm.
So, it made me cry. Okay. 5 stars.
Yeah. I actually have a book that I read recently that I didn't like love, but was part of a series that I love, and it made me like tear up at the end, but I don't know where that lands it. So I just keep thinking in the back of my mind, like, what is this? And that's why I'm so behind on Goodreads, because giving things stars makes me anxious.
Yeah, I feel that.
But
I
yeah,
listed it on
what
Goodreads in like 4 months. Like I have not kept up to date on what I've read.
I always like add the books as I read them, but then they just linger until I feel like I'm in the right headspace to give them some stars in a review.
That's what
Yeah.
too,
Yeah,
especially when you
I
read
think
multiple. Because it's like, oh, it could actually take me 4 days, but it says it took me 2 weeks, but that's because things happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I, for one, am extremely thankful to every single person who voted for this book and had us read them. For anybody who is watching this and voted for one of the other two books, we will read them. Don't worry, eventually, I promise. But we are going to go on to Leather and Lark next because we can't help ourselves. We literally can't help ourselves. I had the thought, do we read it closer to when the third book was coming out? And then I lost all self-control. So yeah, we're going on to Leather and Lark next. So you can join us for that. But thanks for reading Butcher and Blackbird with us by Bryn Weaver. We had a great time and hope you did too. Bye, guys.